And we're back, another episode of the AC Milan Zone podcast. I'm joined here by the most looking and the smartest man on the AC Milan Zone team, Oscar. Welcome back.
Ooh, these compliments keep getting higher and higher. Appreciate it.
Soon enough, we'll
Thanks.
top out. Soon enough, we'll top out. And today, big smiles from us. I honestly believe that we need to start predicting more losses and we need to start asking ourselves if Fonseca is going to get fired because every time we do, the man pulls out an absolute stunner of a game plan. It happened in the derby. It happened last night against Real Madrid. I was lucky enough to see in person at the Bernabeu the last time Milan beat Real Madrid in it at the Bernabeu in Madrid. This was 2009, 3-2 with a winner in the last minute by none other than Alexander Pato. This time, very similar score, 3-1, but a deserved victory. A Milan that played very well, a Milan that hustled, a Milan that sacrificed, and a Milan that brings home 3 massive points for a Champions League campaign. Ozzy, what did you think of the game?
No, it's a fantastic feeling. I wish, however, though this was a win against Real Madrid in the old format, the old Champions League format, it would mean so much more. But yeah, surprised us massively. We both predicted losses, and we were talking about Fonseca being sacked. Obviously, we didn't expect him to go and beat Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, but happy for the 3 points of the Champions League that is desperately needed. And if it almost feels like Fonseca is listening to our podcast week in, week out, and he just decides to turn it up a notch when we predict a loss.
Yeah, I mean it's fascinating. Let's, I guess, get into the formation because I think that was the interesting part and what we were wondering at the end of our last podcast. We knew that Musa was going to come in. There were questions about is it going to be sort of a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 as we've been playing with Musa, just simply taking the right wing position. Or
Hmm.
is it going to be, like some Italian journalists have said, sort of 3-5 at the back? What we hypothesized in the last podcast kind of came true. It was basically a 5 at the back defensively, while going forward is very much a 4-3-3, something that worked very well. I think Fonseca's plan was very smart. He realized that most of the problems that we're going to face were going to come from the left side of the Real Madrid team, from Vinicius. So instead of just leaving Emerson Royal on an island 1v1, like we've seen for the last 2 years and for a lot of the end part of the Pioli ball, he added Musa there to help double Vinicius each time, as well as create just a lot of density in the middle with sort of the 3 fake center backs, if you include Emerson Royal in that. And that worked to perfection, as well as just a lot of sacrifice from players. I mean, we saw Morata come back so many times and be in line, deeper sometimes than our midfielders, both Fofana and Reinders. We saw Pulisic track back a lot. Leao, a little less so as often, but he also came back a couple times. Just a lot of sacrifice, defended as a team, which is needed, in football, modern football these days, but especially when you go up against a giant like Real Madrid,
Hmm.
and we brought it home. What did you think of sort of this, 5 at the
Yeah,
back when defending?
yeah, you could definitely see it transitioning, and I'm not sure of the exact stats, but Musa must have ran for half a team. Not that the rest of our team didn't run, but you could see him on that right flank everywhere. Um, I think it was either both of us, or I think it was maybe just me, who was sort of poking fun at Musa, and I was a bit skeptical about sort of the formation on paper before the game, the predicted lineup, but it worked. I feel like it worked to perfection. Their midfield was non-existent, and we broke their lines, even though we had Musa tracking back a lot. Musa played outstanding, and we'll talk about man of the match later on, or after this maybe. And yeah, now the Liao, with a performance like that, he doesn't need to track back. And luckily for us, or I guess that's the script that's been written for Mbappe this season. He's not started off the same Mbappe that we're used to. So Theo Hernandez and Tomori on that side didn't really have all that much to cover. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
he skinned Tomori once, but it didn't lead to anything in the end. So that was perhaps a bit lucky for us. But Theo Hernandez did his defensive duties, kept up with Mbappe. Fofana and Rangers came back to suffocate that space in front of our back four or two centre backs. Emerson Royal had a good second half, very good second half. A bit, it sort of mirrored the Inter or the derby, whereby he made one mistake in the first half and then just, I don't know, turned it on. And the Musa Emerson Royal double team on Vinicius Junior worked wonders. Um, yeah, sort of eliminated him very well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I also think that, yeah, it helps a lot containing people like Vinicius, but also Mbappe, as you were mentioning, when you're so much more compact, right? They have so little space. He's trying to find space in between the lines, but, you know, we have three, again, acting center backs when we were defending. So little space. You confront him a little bit more because you know someone's got your back. You know, the pitch begins to shrink a lot more, and all of a sudden it's a lot easier to win those individual battles. Even though on paper, you know, the striker like Mbappe or Vinicius or so on can be so dangerous. Just yeah, a breath of fresh air for us. We've been watching Milan for a while. We had to put up with you know, much of the end of the Pioli ball, where it felt like it was never that. It was ever it was always we're so long. There's so much space. Defenders being left 1-on-1 on an island, and then getting cooked on the regular.
Truly getting cooked.
That
Yeah.
was great. Yeah, Emerson Royal. We'll get to the penalty in a second. Yeah, big mistake, of course, and a silly one, more than even the size of it. Obviously, caused the penalty and a goal. But really unnecessary, you know, that always hurts. But the second half, you know, just diligent, good work, which is, I think, of a player of his caliber, all you can ask from at the moment. I do agree that Musa played a great game. And I think it emphasizes a point that we were talking about also when talking about, you know, who's going to play, who's going to be this 11th man. We know that Reinders and Fofana are locked in. We know that Morata and Pulisic and hopefully Leao are locked in. But who's going to be that player that ends up playing the cam or the CM, or in this case also for Musa, the right wing back? Who is he going to be? And not to discredit Musa in any way. He had a great game and he has qualities. But right now, we just need a player that's willing to just run and be everywhere. You don't need to be, you know, De Bruyne is what I always say. You don't need to be, you know, Kaká. You don't need to be incredible. If you have some skills and some techers and you bring it to the tables, that's just the cherry on top. But right now, we just need someone to hustle. And that's what we've been asking of Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and it hasn't happened. And it looks like Musa has made the most of his chance. If we figured out how Fonseca sort of works in terms of finding solution at work and sticking with them, I'd assume we see a lot more of Musa, which is great. And again, his role there is not to, you know, be Leao or Pulisic and, you know, creates, you know, magic out of thin air. His role is to just run and cover. And at the end of the day, if everyone comes with that sort of attitude and it spreads like it did yesterday, you're going to have a chance to win most football games, whether it's Monza and Cagliari at home or Madrid away. And yeah, I just hope that carries away. I think we should talk, maybe let's go man of the match, and then we can talk about maybe goals or the penalty and so on.
Yeah.
I
Oh, man of the
think,
match. I mean,
yeah,
who
you
who
go first,
doesn't
actually,
deserve
go for
it?
it.
Who doesn't deserve it? To be honest, I think the official Champions League man of the match was given to Mignon. I think that was up in the air, especially luckily for us, it was an offside. That would have been disappointing, but it could be anyone from Mignon to Reinders to Musa to Leao. I think those four. But if I had to pick one, I'll probably say maybe Reinders, because whilst he's on this upwards trajectory, some of the moves he made and the runs he made was incredible. So Reinders, I would say, for me.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. Magnan brought it home in terms of the Champions League, and you know, you can't fault that. A couple of incredible saves that kept us in it early on. The save late on Brahim Diaz, just so close, just pure reflexes. And also beyond the saves, just his distribution, we were under a lot
Yeah,
of pressure a lot of times, and we were just so confident giving the ball to him. He had one time where he gave it away, but the others, he's just pinging it. And it's, when we are under pressure as much as we were, and when historically we have struggled under that much pressure. I mean, you go look at the first Liverpool game; they brought that pressure too, and it absolutely ate us up, and we absolutely created nothing.
yeah,
Yeah, it was like
yeah.
adding.
He came out strong in the corners and always seemed in control. It was never a lack of concentration or being I guess a bit wobbly on with the ball. There was that one time where, of course, it was a Vinicius. Well, it ended up being a foul, and I agree it would have been a foul. But Vinicius Junior was extremely close from getting the ball off him. When Vinicius Junior dived there after Mignon tried to do the quick start from the free kick, but yeah, we've seen performance just like you mentioned with Liverpool, whereby Mignon wasn't really, or especially even last season, there have been dips where Mignon has not seemed the Scudetto winning Mignon, but I feel like he has had a pretty solid stretch of games now.
Yeah, I would totally agree. This year he's been great, and we've needed him because we concede a lot of opportunities, we concede a lot of shots. He's
Hmm.
been great. So yeah, I'm not angry with that. My vote, if it wasn't for him, would also go with Reinders. I mean, 98% pass accuracy, so 51 out of 52 passes completed, and not a lot of passing back. He had a couple beautiful passes. The goal scored. I mean, uh, that the whole action,
The
him
whole
and
move.
Leao,
Yeah.
him gathering the ball, protecting off two players, and then just filling the space exactly how I wanted it, nice control, and then finish between the legs. He's just a gift that keeps on giving, and yeah, let's hope
That, pro-
to.
that, pro- that price tag is going up every single game almost, or at least every Champions League
Yeah,
game.
absolutely, and let's hope. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I was gonna say. Let's hope that the new contract comes and we lock him up for a little while. Fofana as well. Obviously he goes a little bit in the shadow because he does so much dirty work. But yeah, I mean, those two together, cancel the Real midfield in so many ways, and then that speaks volume given the
Mhm.
quality of players they were facing. And then yeah, Leao just for as many shortcomings as that kid has, and all the rightful complaints that has been thrown at him in the last few weeks, he's just that good. He just needs to play. He just needs to play. He's simply that good. Can create something out of nothing on the last goal. Just speed, power, beauty, great vision as well. Just great game. A little note for me also for Morata, who obviously scores the goal. It's a tap in. The man lost the score against Madrid. Just yeah, a lot of sacrifice from him. It's hard not to like him, even when sometimes he does things wrong. When he's out there, chasing, tracking back and chasing the ball and winning it in our own box. I don't know. I just always like
Yeah.
that. Um, First goal, obviously Pulisic corner into Chow. Pulisic, by the way, I mean, maybe this isn't should have been a given, but you and I know how bad Milan corners have been for so many years. He delivers. It
Yeah.
feels like 95% of corners, great, always there. We've been
Mhm.
scoring from corners a lot. We should have a second that would have been identical to the first corner, also with Chow. He's just been great on those set pieces. I hope he's on every one of them.
Yeah, we've seen the rise of how many not direct free kicks, but set pieces that we've actually scored from, and it's such a breath of fresh air. I mean, those short corners under Pioli that just led to nothing, lofted balls that almost missed the whole entire uh, penalty area. Uh, those corners are in the past, and something's working. It was a perfectly delivered corner. You can't really fault Lunin for not getting out there in time because there's such whippage on it, and it just hits that area where Chiao, who I think is what like 192 almost, like
Yeah, something
he's a
close to that.
solid unit, but he's still beating Rudiger and Militao. I assume one of them two was going to mark him, and a Chumeni, who's also an absolute freak of a man. Um, yeah, it's a breath of fresh air, and it's a weapon that we've not been able to use under Pioli for most of it, at least at least after just that COVID season where we scored some bangers, and Sandro Tonali when he was on set pieces he delivered sometimes. But yeah, Pulisic is finding some great spots in the penalty area.
Yeah, totally agreed. Then we spoke about it. Obviously, Vinicius ties it up with the Panenka of the penalty. A silly penalty because it was a very silly challenge by Emerson Royal.
Yeah.
Sometimes he just has these blackouts. If
And
he
do you
can,
think it's a penalty?
yeah, I was gonna ask you that exactly. We put it up on our Instagram. I think it was 52% said no. Obviously, this is a pretty Milan fan bias
Hmm.
Instagram page that everyone should go
You
follow
can only
pretty soon.
imagine what I clicked.
Yes, I think it's tough because he obviously dives. The contact is minimal. He's looking for it, but
Yeah.
he's in the box. He's going towards goal. Emerson goes
Yeah.
down to the ground, which he shouldn't have. Vinicius very smartly flicks the ball over, so Emerson never touches the ball,
Yeah.
and then he goes down. I think if you're the referee, it's hard not to give it. If you're VAR, it's very hard to turn it because the contact is there. It's very light, and Vinicius does like dive. He embellishes the contact, but the contact
Yeah.
is there. So I think when it happened, we saw it again. We're like, he dove, but we all knew it wasn't going to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
overturned.
Yeah. No, in today's game against sounding like a dinosaur, that's always gonna be given, but it's a bit. I just find it such a shame that yeah, we're talking about because there is contact. Like, I'm not saying they should murder each other and it's like an NFL game, but the game of football has always had contact, so you might as well give it for everything. If we talk about kind of why weren't we given, I know I'm sidetracking here, but why weren't we given a penalty for, I think it was Fofana being grabbed from behind with both arms by Rudiger at a
Yeah,
corner?
Rudiger was
Like
all over him.
then
It was Tomori.
you're opening, yeah, or was it tomorrow, yeah, you're opening up to all these penalty situations whereby it's just contact. And I agree with you, there is contact. The takes maybe, yeah, Vinicius Junior is definitely not trying to stay upright, but I mean he does take that step with the foot that's just been clipped by Emerson ever so slightly. He takes a step, and you just see, the sort of the legs, like after it looks like a frog jumping. The legs are just spread wide, and it just falls on his stomach. And yeah, Vinicius Junior is always going to get them because he complains so much to the referee, and he is a massive diver. Sorry, I just don't like him.
Yeah, he had a rough showing in terms of that. I think there was a lot of animosity. He had that. I mean, the one on Magnan, where uh, the one you kind of mentioned briefly there, Magnan almost loses it. It's a foul called. He goes and just simply kicks off, and yeah, I mean that's a Ballon d'Or nominee for Vinicius. Is absolutely disgraceful. And it's a shame because it's
Yeah,
it's a player that's electric. I don't even mind like I think a lot of people hate also him for just like maybe the trash talk or just like the animosity which we saw a little bit later on in the game. That part of the game I don't mind. I think it's very annoying to play against. It's one of those players that you love to have on your team and you hate to play against. But I think it's kind of I don't know. It's kind of his personality trait. It's like it's gone. All that I don't mind. I kind of like him for that. But the diving was atrocious in this game. It's like, come on, get up and play.
yeah,
You can't have it
and
both
I
ways.
think
You can't go to Morata and bark at his face because he needs to get up, and later in the game bark at everyone to act tough. But then on a 1-1, when the goalkeeper is kicking off, you pretend like he stomped on you when it wasn't even close.
yeah. Yeah, it's and when he is on the ball, and today, and I guess yesterday he had a bit of an off game, but whenever he is a brilliant footballer, right? Like when he has the ball, uh, I think it was once where he's just like the his turning circle is minimal, and I
Yeah,
think it was, I'm not sure if Calabria had been subbed on yet, so maybe we should give a benefit of the doubt, but like the defenders were like 2-3 meters off, and
yeah,
Vinicius Junior just stopped at full pace,
yeah.
and
Ball glued to his
yeah,
foot.
footballing is just sort of to clean up that act. And I agree with the trash, maybe with you with the trash talk, but it's just his sort of antics, and flailing. Like if I was a referee, that guy would be sent off within the first 20 minutes just by 2 yellow cards for dissent. And he rightfully got a yellow card, I believe, for doing
Yeah,
this.
literally telling the
I'm not
referee
sure
is
exactly
crazy.
what he
Yeah.
said, but he was saying that you're stupid or you're crazy.
Yeah, yeah. He told them
um
in Spanish,
yeah.
"You're loco, you're crazy."
You're crazy, yeah.
And then he also
That
acted so
worries you.
surprised. He was like, I got booked after, and this was the end after, the referee already gave him some leash, as you probably should in the
Mm.
situations anyway. But
Yeah,
yeah, I wonder if, there was obviously a lot of talk with the Ballon d'Or stolen from him and all of that. So I wonder if, you know, he also maybe came out pretty charged up and then things didn't go his and Real Madrid's way. Um,
yeah.
and so it's worse than usual. But yeah, I mean, some of the diving was just truly,
Yeah,
truly
and
atrocious.
The whole Ballon d'Or situation. I saw, I'm not sure which British reporter, and she was chatting to maybe Rio Ferdinand, or I can't remember who, and like a pretty high profile ex Premier League player, and she went really into him, saying like, "You're so arrogant." He was so arrogant for organizing a party, for flying over his family from Brazil. That's fine for me. It's I mean, if you want to party with your family, if in case you win it, fine, of course. They've helped you on the way, and it would be his first Ballon d'Or, and organizing a party in Paris after you've won the Ballon d'Or. I think anyone in that situation, if you're up for winning it, should be organizing a party. That would be pretty sick. But eventually, he for my issue is that he didn't even turn up. I don't mind
Yeah.
the whole party and flying your family over. That's natural. They're
Did you think
footballers
first of
earning.
all would you have given him the Ballon d'Or or were you happy with Rodri?
No, I mean, I think I'm happy with Rodri. It's one of those, like, had either of them won it, I don't
Mm-hmm.
think anybody would have been like they the other person massively deserved it more than the winner.
Yeah.
Um, his I guess we're looking at games and assists wasn't like outstanding, but we've been spoiled with Ronaldo and Messi for so
Yeah,
many
yeah, yeah.
years.
And also, I think
If you're
football's a
gonna
lot more than that, right?
Yeah, and I think Rodri player of the tournament in that Euro for Spain. That was, I shouldn't say underdogs, but they definitely weren't favorites.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and I think I'm not sure how the how journalists, whenever they vote, or the players think about it, but Rodri might have deserved to win it the year before as well. So it's one of those.
yeah,
Maybe it's an accumulated Ballon d'Or over the last 2 seasons. Who knows? Um, but I think it was childish of Real Madrid overall, and Vinicius Junior for not turning up to the ceremony. But enough about that. Um, yeah, we've covered Vinicius Junior. I guess we want to move on to the 2-1 goal
yeah.
for
The,
us.
the, the last two goals. I mean, the 2-1 again. Great pressure from us. We don't always press well. I feel like with true was true with Pioli. It's been true with the start of Fonseca. When we try to press, it's sort of half-assed. We see maybe Morata and one of the two wingers sort of press, and then it's useless because now we're
It's
just way up
Yeah,
the
it's not
pitch and we don't
synchronized.
never win the ball back. And yeah, it never really worked. This game it worked a little bit better. I think we hit the perfect balance of realizing where to press and realizing when to fall back, and sort of picking our spots. And this was one of them. We win the ball back in midfield. Ball then to Leao, who does a great job in the box using his physique. You always forget because obviously he's so fast and he's known for his dribbling, but you forget how big and strong Leao is,
Yeah,
which is the combo that makes him deadly.
he's almost as tall as us, and you'd think a winger of that pace shouldn't be that big, but he is sort of top heavy even, and so I shouldn't say lanky because he's not lanky, but has the length on him to push over someone like Eder Militao, which he did. Well, not fully push over, but
Yeah, I mean, with shoulder to shoulder and send him to the ground, and Militao is not, it's not exactly a weakling. But he does that in the
Mhm.
first goal, turns around. Um, best shot he could get. Not upset with that.
It was
Lunin
a
puts a
pretty good
hand on
shot.
it, and
Yeah, pretty good shot.
Musa and Morata does what he does. Nice little tap in. Um, and then yeah, the last goal we talked about a little bit, but great combination. Yeah, Reiner starts it off so well. Leao, incredible run. Just so much strength, so much pace. Good pass, great control, great finish.
Yeah,
Leao had another also good chance with a great header and a great save from Lunin, who's also played a very good game. It's interesting to see what's going to happen to him because obviously Courtois. Let's see if he can stay healthy. But one of the best keepers in the world is going to stay his starting spot. But Lunin has shown last year and this year that he could start for a lot of major European clubs. So it'll be interesting to see
yeah,
if he ever gets a look. Um,
yeah. I'm trying
and
to think
then
of what clubs would be in need of him.
I mean, Chelsea maybe needs a 14th goalkeeper, so you never know.
Yeah, or like maybe even a Bayern Munich, who I don't think are too happy with Neuer. I think he's sort of his the football is leaving him before he left football himself. So
Yeah,
maybe something like
yeah,
that.
that
But
could go. I think
that's another.
there's always Premier League. I always back Premier League clubs to look for upgrades. There was talk of Ederson maybe leaving. Um, yeah, I mean, I think there are some clubs like United and Arsenal that have decent keepers, but nothing to write home about. But yeah, we'll be curious to see what happens with them. Um, in general, yeah, I mean, hopefully this, victory cures everything. We hope that the relationship with Leao and Fonseca is cured, that we sort of get that confidence again. The key for
Yeah.
me, and the major takeaway from this game, is, we've shown that our ceiling is pretty high. Not Champions League winning by any means, but in the fight for top position in Serie A, and able to go up against anyone in Europe and have a shot at it. The issue's turning up, right? It's easy to turn up in a derby when you're when you have to. It's easy to turn up in a big Champions League night when you travel to the Bernabeu. I want to see this fight, and I want to see the running, and I want to see the help of each other, and I want to see that killer instinct when this
Hmm.
Saturday we travel to Cagliari. I want to see it when it's cold and it's a Friday game against Udinese, and you think you've already won it, and they're playing with 11 men behind the ball. Because ultimately, I think our season, lives and dies by that. If we're willing to put this amount of effort into winning and into trying, in most games, then I like our shot of winning most games or having a shot of winning most games. We've shown twice this season we can do it, but we've also shown that we're also too often happy to sort of sit on our laurels and watch the game go by. I don't know how you feel about our ability to continue bringing this sort of spirit and this sort of unity. What I
Yeah.
like
No.
this game, I'll finish up and I'll give it to you. Sorry, more than the derby. The derby, obviously, we wanted this to carry on beyond that, beyond the derby. But Fonseca also tried to replicate what people call 4-2-4, which was never 4-2-4. But the Leao, Pulisic, Morata, Abraham, the double striker, and all that stuff. And we knew that tactically that wasn't going to be the solution long term. There was a nice little invention that could unlock some new things, but we knew, hey, this is not how we're going to play from now on. This, with a 4-3-3, with a runner in Musa that can be loves to cheek down the line, that could be Liberali, that could be Zeroli, whatever, feels like something that I would like to see and could work for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I'm hopeful for, but please go for it.
To remember your first point. Yeah. So, um, yeah, I agree with the effort, in that we want to see it in against Monza, against Cagliari, on a cold Friday night in Udinese, which is the equivalent of the Stoke meme that we've been using for the past 15, 20 years almost. I guess it can be difficult to find the motivation against a Cagliari or a Monza compared to what we saw against Inter, what we saw against Real Madrid most recently. I think that's the stuff of champions, right? To always find the motivation to just get the job done and work at 110%. Um, yeah, hopefully the changing room sort of rallies behind this win, because the Inter win was fantastic, and then we saw a drop off. So hopefully they continue this energy, and that maybe the whole Leao not starting saga is over. Maybe that sort of dampened the mood in the changing room. I'm sure Leao is a leader in that changing room, being the player that's been there almost the longest now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, close to one of the
And
centers.
one of the Scudetto winners, whereby he had his career best. So hopefully the team rallies around him, starting and smiling again and being the Silver Surfer. Um, but as we saw against Inter or after Inter, we really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and the big hope is that we bring this into Cagliari, that we dispatch them in convincing fashion, and play well. and then go into the break, feeling good, looking good, and carry that momentum forward. Um, Yeah, I mean, we can jump into the Cagliari game. I do want to ask you about Fonseca's words after the game. He said that he'd been planning this for a while. That it's for him hilariously, it's harder. It's easy to plan against. Well, not he didn't say easy to plan against Madrid. He said it's harder to plan against playing against Monza and Cagliari rather than Madrid because Serie A is so difficult and so defensive and the smaller teams are happy to
Yeah,
fall back. But he also said that he knew that he was going to approach the game like this, that he wanted, meaning didn't want to leave too much space, that wanted to double Vinicius on the left side and all that, and that's why he rested. He specifically mentioned Leao, Musa, Emerson Royal, and Tomori. Do you think that's him sort of saying it after, or was this the actual
yeah.
plan?
I'm
How do you like the
yeah, no,
rest? Is something that we never really did, especially with Pioli, who would play, a 38-year-old Giroud over and over. Yeah,
yeah.
what do you
No,
think?
I'm sure that Fonseca had some thoughts behind it. I think we also have to remember that, and I shouldn't say Inter played poorly, but Inter didn't play at their best when we beat them, and Real Madrid really didn't look good. If you looked at Rudiger, Militao, Lucas Vasquez, and Ferland Mendy, they were all over the place, and Tchouameni, Modric, that midfield, um, just didn't exist either. So I feel like Real Madrid let us play the way we did again. Um, and are we gonna find that space against a Cagliari, against a Monza? I don't think we necessarily would. They would, yeah. I don't think it would be the same type of game. We were on paper at least huge underdogs against Real Madrid, against all the Monzas and the Cagliaris of the Serie A. We never are. So it is a different dynamic. I'm sure Fonseca had some thought behind resting Liao and Tomori and Emerson Royal, but yeah, I think the comment he made about Serie A being a lot harder than playing out in Europe, I think was a bit of a comedic touch. He seems to have a bit of banter, everything from the Portuguese pastry comment from a few months back now. So there is some truth to it. I would agree.
Yeah, no, fair. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Then I guess let's look forward to the Cagliari game. We play again on Saturday, which seems very close to now, right before the
Hmm.
international break. One of those, I always like to focus on the games right before the international break because I think they can really change sort of the mood of the locker room quite a bit. Cagliari have come from um, a pretty bad losing streak. They lost the last three. They're at the bottom of the league. But this is the type of team that we usually struggle with. We saw a win against Monza that was probably undeserved. We won by the skin of our teeth, if you will. What do you think going ahead? Mostly, what do you think the lineup will be? Do you think Fonseca sticks with the same
Oh,
exact man and the same exact style? Obviously, if we do play a 4-3-3, we won't see probably Musa come back and play five at the back as much, but maybe we keep the same sort of lineup and Musa just
yeah.
does a fill-in role, or do you think he's going back to maybe reintroducing Chukwueze and playing a more offensive three behind the main striker?
Yeah, I'd struggle to see him wanting to play Musa in the exact same role that he did against Real Madrid with covering Vinicius Junior. I can certainly see him move up with a front four more, the traditional three sort of attacking midfielders and wingers and a striker up top. I can certainly see him doing that. However, it is the last game before the break, so maybe he goes all out and plays the exact same formation or the same exact players that he did against Real Madrid. So who knows Fonseca? We don't know. Not that he completely changes the starting 11 every single game, but you never know. Rafael didn't start for 3 games.
That's
Um,
true. Yeah, I also don't know out of memory. I don't remember starting 11 being sort of repurposed twice in a row. Maybe after the derby, I don't remember if the game after the derby we played with the exact
yeah,
same one. It
because
might
we've
have been.
always we've had Rangers and Theo Hernandez out for suspension. We've had a bit of a centre back
Yeah,
shuffling.
center back rotation seems constant. De
Yeah.
Leao problem. Chukwueze is starting and not starting. Even Calabria early on.
Hmm.
Now Emerson. Calabria seems to be back. We'll see. He had a pretty rough three final minutes. He got dribbled a couple times in very close succession. Also a little bit unfair to put him cold just out there when they were attacking.
Exactly. Twitter was having a field day with Calabria
Yeah,
hate.
I agree with you.
And was it great? Absolutely not. I'm not saying that those fans on Twitter were blind and saw a different game than I did. But he hasn't played in, what is it? It must be almost 2 months now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Did he
I
has he
fully agree
played
with you.
since? Yeah.
Unfair to,
So it is tough. Yeah.
yeah,
And Real Madrid that had that goal disallowed in the 82nd minute and is pressing for something because they're in deep shit.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
No,
and he's in the
totally
Champions
agree.
League.
So I'm curious to see if he maybe gets some minutes. Also because Emerson has been playing a lot. He didn't play them once a game, apparently for a rest. But yeah, at some point they will need rest. I think the center backs, I've stopped trying to guess who will it
Yeah.
be.
Mm.
Maybe after the break we're probably likely to see Gabia back. But for now, yeah, I don't. I would like the continuity to see the same sort of lineup. Honestly, all men I'm happy with. Musa also. I just like a 4-3. I just feel like the extra man in midfield helps a lot. He doesn't need to obviously go in double or on the left side and have a five at the back line like we did with Madrid. But we know that Leao is probably not gonna fulfill a lot, which means the Rangers needs to fill in. So it just
Yeah,
helps
it becomes
to him even
becomes a
out the
bit more of a
numbers.
4-4-2. Kind of
Yeah.
becomes a 4-4-2 in defensive duties. So we'll see on Saturday what Fonseca cooks.
Yes. And then hopefully a big victory. Then we go into an international break that's hopefully injury free. And then we come back and we go at it and we try to climb some spots um, in the league, climb some spots in the Champions League. There's going to be a few interesting games. I mean, we're playing Dinamo Zagreb is decent. I think they have 9 points or 7 points, so one more point than us. That's I think the best team we have. Then we have literally Girona, Red Star, and the next one is Slavian no, the
This is Bratislava.
Bratislava. Thank you.
Yeah.
Who are literally dead last, tied for last, and close to last. Does that mean we get big victories? Absolutely not. But it means that we have a
Yeah.
chance to go and beat all of them and finish very, very strong. Right now we have 6. And 9 is the magic numbers to make it into the next phase. But hey, look, you win all of those, you give a chance to maybe finish in one of those top 9 spots. If
Yeah,
teams
it
are
seems.
struggling, like Madrid, like uh, Leverkusen, and so on, and even if you
Yeah,
don't, if you
you
fall
can
short,
see.
you're gonna find a better matchup in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, like I can't say I know which teams all these everyone's played, but it goes from Liverpool to Sporting, Monaco, Borussia Dortmund, Aston Villa, who are currently 1-0 down to Bruges, City only in sixth with 7 points, Brest up there, and then just out of qualification, we've got like Atletico Madrid, Bayern Munich. Obviously, they still have to play today. Girona are on 3 points with -4, so it's really all up for the taking. And yeah, it would be great to
Yeah.
see Milan climb because there are certainly some teams ahead of us that on paper I think we should be better than, such as Celtic, who have magically plucked out 7 points in 4 games, which
Yeah.
is quite impressive. And like you
Brest,
just
7
mentioned,
points with 3 games.
yeah, Dinamo Zagreb up there as well in 14th with 7 points. So we are nosing up there, and yeah, that those 3 points against Real Madrid, whilst I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, it would have been even more fantastic if it was the old format. This is some, I shouldn't say bonus 3 points, but yeah, another 9 points, and we're looking pretty tasty.
Yeah. I mean, again, you're completely right. We are 1 point away from City, which is 6th. And again, obviously, it's a Champions League. You can lose against anyone, but we're going to be playing Slovan Bratislava, who is dead last, 0 points, negative 13 goal difference. Then we have Red Star, who
But
is,
that looks
tied,
like a
0 points, negative 9 goal difference. Then we have Girona, 3 points, negative 4 goal difference. And then we have Dinamo Zagreb, who's 1 point ahead of us, negative 2 goal difference with 7 points. I don't know how
yeah.
they've managed that. I guess they got slapped by someone a lot. But those are 4 games that are very winnable, 3 that are, in my mind, extremely, extremely winnable, and that could lock you up a top 8 position, which would mean 2 games, which obviously would mean you proceed to the next round, to the knockout round, which is huge, which means money,
Yep.
and also you play 2 less games, which is huge in this calendar, especially when we will have to make up the Bologna game.
Yes.
But I think that's it.
Predictions.
Yeah, we just need to predict the Cagliari game.
I'll let you go first.
It feels like I want to predict a loss just because I've been hilariously wrong every time. We have to keep it up. We have to keep this form up. Surely this is where we turn the corner. How many times have we said that? No, let me actually see. I think Cagliari have conceded a lot of goals
They've conceded
in
a fair
recent games.
bit. Yeah.
Yes, they've lost 2-1 to Lazio, 2-0 to Bologna, 2-0 to Udinese, 1-3-2 against Torino, 1-1 against Juve, and 1-3-2 against Parma. So even their 2 wins, they conceded 2 goals. We scored 3. Do I go 3-0? Do we keep a clean sheet? Bless. I'm riding high on the Mike Magnan hype. 3-0.
You've stolen my scoreline.
Pulisic scores 1 because Pulisic always scores 1. Rafa Leao scores 1 because he's back. He's officially back. He's starting. Likely, we don't know yet, but I'm saying it now. He's starting. He's scoring. And Tijani Reinders continues to score as well. That's it.
Okay. I was going to go for 3-0, so I'm going to go with 2-0 instead then. Switch it up. Hopefully we still play well and it's not like a grind of a match. But 2-0 for Milan, and the goal scorers will be Leao, and I'm going to throw in Theo. Theo, that left wing will.
Theo came close against Madrid. He had a couple of good opportunities. Always a shout to put him on. Yeah. I mean, hopefully not a grind. It's a Serie A game, so likely a grind. The key will be, the first 30 minutes. You come in with some grit. You take the first or second chance opportunity that you have, and if that happens, then the rest of the game is easy. If you let it go into the half and to the 56th minute, and it's either 0-0 or they're still within 1, they're gonna play like every Serie A team does, which is defend the draw or the even the 1 goal behind score line, and then in the last 15 minutes they know anything can happen and they go for it. But you score too early and you have a Venezia game in your hand, which is what we desperately need. It's dead and done by the 50th minute. You put in some youngins, you get some rest, you go off to international duty with a big smile. We will be back to discuss the Cagliari game. And then, I don't know, maybe we need to find some fun content to make for the dreadfully boring international break. And then back, of course, when the boys come back to play after the international game. Thank you, Ozzy, as always, for this big celebration
Thank you,
of
Stefano.
our Champions League victory. And
With a positive note this time round.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.